Okay, so we're here today with Keenan and Janelle to talk about our big bets for 2025 from the acronym perspective. And we've got some controversial takes for you. So the first one, Janelle, I'll let you kick off, is around AI, of course.
Yeah, so I think that if you think about the Gartner hype cycle, we are approaching that trough of disillusionment for AI. That we are going to see a lot of backlash for AI, both within organizations, from the public in general. People will have start to see it fail. They're hearing more and more about the environmental and ethical issues related to AI. We're just going to start to see a lot more pushback against AI in general. I think there's still going to be a lot of people who push forward with it. They're going to continue to push the technology forward and do a lot of really cool and really exciting things with it. But that segment of the population that is anti-AI is going to get a lot bigger and a lot louder really quickly.
Yeah, have you seen this happen anywhere yet, or is it just a forecast?
Um, I think we see it a lot within a lot of organizations, and
Okay.
to a certain extent, I think we see it a little bit within acronym. People will have, picked up ChatGPT or they've launched, AI initiatives, and for one reason or another, they might have failed, or they might have
Mm,
scraped bad information, they might have done something wrong, they might have published something that looked bad, there was a bad user experience, and they just felt out of control. And I think that people are just going to want to go back to the older way of doing things, where they do have more control and they can more finely tune the way that they want to do things. Um, and yeah, I think that it's going to get bigger and bigger. Um,
interesting.
yeah, there's
Yeah, a real
it's going to
fracturing of perspectives. Yeah.
but I do think, though, it's going to allow the AI products that are out there and
Mm.
kind of the capabilities to mature a lot better. That, some of the hype around it and all of the people who are talking about it, it'll be a little bit less noisy and less cluttered, that people can kind of get out of the way, and just people can just keep moving forward and advance their AI products. So
Mm.
we can get out of that trough and what is it, the stable cycle a little bit quicker.
Interesting. Okay, well, that's one controversial take so far. Jumping into number two, Keenan talking about social a little bit and what's going to happen.
Yeah, so I think my prediction here is we might see the continued balkanization, if you will, of social. We really saw it started a couple of years ago when Elon Musk took over Twitter, now X, and you'd see a lot of people on the further, left political spectrum leaving to competitor apps like Blue Sky, for example. And we just had some news yesterday with Meta kind of changing their approach to brand safety, to some
Yeah.
censorship to others, to kind of switching to a more community notes based approach, like X is doing now. So you could definitely understand some folks who would see the censorship is good. You're censoring hate speech, misinformation. For others, no, it's just free speech. So you could see people that are on one side of that argument also moving off of Meta into competitor platforms. So that's my prediction is you'll see continued balkanization. On the other hand, we could just revert back to the mean and everyone could be happy and get along again. So that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, really interesting. I mean, I remember back when all the YouTube privacy and brand safety stuff was happening, what a big impact that had on the marketplace and how brands were all leaving YouTube and divesting their investment. But now it'll be interesting to see what happens with so many different platforms kind of following this trend of, I guess, less human monitoring.
Mhm.
Yeah, it'll be really cool to see if people continue to invest or not. Yeah. All right. So our third kind of big bet is around brand safety. Keenan, do you want to take this one too?
Yeah, so this is another, topic that's come up on the one side, content moderation and brand safety, on the other side, censorship, right? So, and how do you kind of bridge that gap? And it's with a new
Mm,
administration coming in, it's going to be really interesting. There have been congressional hearings over GARM, which is basically kind of the organization built out of a lot of the holding companies to kind
yeah.
of enforce kind of an even brand safety standard across the advertising world. Now, the heads of, WPP, Omnicom, they're getting called into Congress to say, the one argument against this is actually just something fake to suppress conservative speech. So that's one opinion on on that side, right? The other opinion is no, we just don't. Our clients don't want our ads showing up to
Hmm.
next to controversial content, right? So, very interesting argument. I think my prediction is that the industry as a whole, my hope maybe would be that the industry as a whole kind of rethinks how it thinks about brand safety, right? Like people are interested in all sorts of different topics. If someone's a real immigration nut is very fascinated by this comment, why would they think any less of Coca-Cola having an ad on an article that they're personally interested in? So I think opening up the conversation about this topic would be my hope, maybe less so my prediction. My hope would be people would be a bit more flexible on that conversation moving forward.
Yeah, we'll have to follow the news and see what happens on that one. Um, this one kind of ties together with the next one, which maybe Janelle and Keenan, you can both kind of talk to, is around privacy and
Hmm.
consumer protections.
Yeah, Janelle, do you want to start?
Yeah, so I think that we are going to start to see a lot of rollback of regulations across the industry, especially when we're looking at regulations protecting consumer privacies digitally. And I guess for all of us, it would be that button or that banner that pops up online every time you go to a website that says, "Can we track you?" Um, but for us as marketers, that has huge implications to how are we able to find you and to be able to sell you things and to know whether or not those things are relevant to you. Um, I think that just across the board, we're going to see really widespread changes, and not all of those will be based in what is current law. They will be probably based in what is perceived appetite of the court to enforce. And just with the perception of what brands might be able to get away with, are we going to do more with users' data, and what are we going to do with or without their consent?
Yeah, I'm curious to see if that results in different types of targeting being used or if people
Hmm.
lean into walled gardens more. That'll be really interesting. Like, if we're not able to reach users in the same way based on behavior, will there be a big shift there or are people just going to keep trying?
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
What I think is really interesting here is the potential for the same type of data collection to feed into potential AI targeting and algorithms. And I know I spoke
Hmm.
about earlier a potential trough of disillusionment around AI, but there is still going to be that development. People will still move forward with it. Um, how is our data going to be collected and fed into these things that are impacting all of us? And how will our data inform what we know about us all? I think it's going to
Yeah.
be really interesting.
Yeah. And the consumer reaction to it too. We were
Hmm.
just talking about how we wouldn't be totally upset if those banners, pop-up banners went away.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It will be framed as a user experience benefit.
Yeah.
Congratulations, the banner's going away. We don't need it anymore.
I mean, that's the dirty little secret, right? Is
Right.
everyone understands that advertisers are collecting your data all the time, and very few people actually care. There's definitely a very loud, I think, loud minority of folks
Hmm.
who are very concerned about, data privacy, whatever. But at the end of it's just so much part of our daily lives now.
Yeah,
I think people are kind of numb to it.
yeah.
One interesting thought I think that goes kind of with the data privacy law is us probably in the US probably going to get a bit more lax with privacy laws. How does that feed when if you're Meta, you're a global company and you want to make sure you're
Hmm.
compliant with a bunch of different countries' laws? So if if the EU is very strict, how are they gonna balance that out with maybe more lax U.S. laws?
Hmm.
I also think that could be interesting, with the upcoming administration. There's definitely a lot of talk about, using, more economic incentive to
Yeah.
get different countries to
Sure.
do what the administration wants. So that could be interesting if that could be, oh, Europe, your laws are too tight around this industry. Maybe you'll get a tariff if unless you change it. It's
Yeah.
going to be fascinating to see how that changes over the next 4 years.
I
Hmm.
think I'm definitely concerned about the lack of transparency. I care less about there being a banner. I care more about if I want to know, not being able to find out.
Right.
And that's the thing that I'm worried about potentially going away longer term.
Hmm. Well, this brings us to number five. Keenan, this is all you, your controversial opinion on creative agencies.
This might be the hottest take, and creative agencies. I don't shoot the messenger. I think that's one of the industries that it's already begun to get really hurt by AI, and I don't think it's going to slow down. I think it's going to speed up. So there are a lot of tools for, you know,
Mhm.
large bulk AI creative files. It kind of started years ago when dynamic creative became a thing, but that's really just headlines and images swapping out. With AI, it's the whole new thing. They can make your whole banner for you. So there are a bunch of different vendors that offer the AI service. Like I'll use Creative.ai as an example I'm familiar with, but basically they run on credits, and you can create as many banners as you want based on the credits. And so much of what more specifically like digital creative agencies do is make a ton of different banners for your clients, and that can basically be outsourced to AI now. How creative agencies have currently done it is they'll have like a creative director, and they'll outsource it to different freelancers to do a bunch of the legwork within, Photoshop, InDesign, whatever, to make the banners. If you can do that through AI, it saves your client a ton of money. So I think I don't think it's creative agencies are just going to go out of business. I think it's going to be just a bit of a change where your creative director is in platform making stuff in Creative Eye versus managing a bunch of freelancers. And I think smart media agencies should hire a person to take on this kind of full in-house responsibility. If we can do everything, we can get all your budget, not the creative agency. Creative agencies don't hate me. I'm just the messenger.
Yeah. And to clarify, again, going back to my trial of disillusionment for I think that right now, AI isn't good at being innovative. It isn't good at creating things that are net new. But most of what creative agencies are doing when hiring all of these freelancers isn't creating new things, isn't doing all of this innovation. Um, and we can replicate what they're doing with AI in its current state. And I absolutely understand the backlash to wanting to leverage AI for what it is that they're doing. Because how do we nurture that industry if there isn't any industry for them to work in? Um, but it'll change. We'll find something.
Yeah, I think like the more high profile agencies making a 30-second Super Bowl spot, like I think Wyden Kennedy is going to be fine for a few more years, but
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
but for the vast bulk of the industry, it's
Right.
a
Absolutely.
bunch of versions of banners, digital video, shopping ads, and I think
Hmm.
that's kind of going to be the first to transition over.
Yeah. Somebody's going to still be sitting in their office with like bourbon in a drawer.
Yes. AI can't do that for you.
Yet,
I hope
yet.
not.
Yet.
I don't
All
want
right.
AI to replace the fun stuff.
That's right. Well, thank you both for all of your predictions for 2025. I'll check back in a year and see how many of them are accurate. That's all from us. Bye.